Hello, this is Andrine, Jewish American Priestess, and I'm coming to you today with a reading about the full moon that is coming up this week. Let's light up a candle to start, and I don't know exactly what we should read today, but I have some ideas. I think I'm going to start out by pulling out maybe two cards from the Soul Cards 2 deck. They're a very interesting deck with no booklet, no associations to other oracles, just these beautiful paintings that give you an idea about, feelings. That's all I can say about them. So let's take out two cards today and see what feels right next. I'm just going to go with how the Spirit is guiding. Something about it made me think these cards would be the right ones today. So let's see. I think this one is number 1. We had one hit the ground as number 2. Okay, those are our two cards to choose from today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn those over, and we will see what you are guided toward for today's reading about the full moon of Tevet, which is also, I guess, the full moon in Cancer, for those of you keeping track of astrological signs. So the first card we have here is this card. And like I said, there's no fixed interpretation for this. What I'm seeing here is, I think, water down in the lower right corner, and then it looks like maybe almost a planet or leaves. A face, a flower with an eye in the center of it, and oh, look at this, the moon, the full moon behind. I hadn't seen that before. That's lovely. A lot of purples and blues and whites here. So that's card number 1. And for card number 2, we have this amazing card. It is, again, almost like a full moon face with either an eye or a mouth with teeth inside of it. You get to determine. And then this spinning, this vortex around with a face. It looks like going at great speed. Going widdershins, counterclockwise, with lots of oranges and yellows and blues and purples. Okay, very different senses here. And then from these two cards, I'm also going to take 2 stones. And I think for the first card, we're going to take this purple amethyst. And this is what that amethyst looks like. Again, with that same kind of purples and blues here. And a little bit of red and white. And that will go with this card. And then for this card, I'm drawn to this stone. This stone is the Red Jasper stone. And this is what that looks like here. All right, so take a minute to determine which of these 2 cards or 2 stones is appealing for you today for this full moon in Cancer, this full moon of Tevet that is coming up. I'll put the timestamps down below, and I will see you in your reading. All right, for those of you who chose this purple card with this sort of peaceful looking face, glancing upward toward the moon and the amethyst. So we have the amethyst, again, this beautiful purple, and little pinks in it as well, and some, looks like quartz embedded in it. And this card, which you get to interpret in the way you like to interpret it, but I may call on it as we do our reading. And like I said, I see the moon back here, behind the flower with the eye. So we're going to set these off to the side over here. And today I've got a real sense that we should be using white Hebrunes, and I just made a set with white and kind of a chrome silver on them. So I'm going to do a spread that is, well, I'm just going to start. I don't know how many we're going to throw down. We'll see how many we throw down. I'm going to reach in and pull out a handful, and we're just going to lay them down regardless of how many there are. Okay, I'm going to do one at the top. Oh, fascinating, beautiful. I don't know if you can see that yet, but I will lift each of them up so you can see. Number 2. We're going to go with number 3. Nice. Number 4, also beautiful. I love this. Number 5. Oh, it's turned into 7. 6 here, and 7 in the center. Nice. This is beautiful. Okay, wonderful, wonderful reading for y'all. So we're going to start with the top. And this particular position in the spread is what is coming down from above. And why I said I am so excited about this, it is the letter Ayin. And Ayin is an eye. It's the eye of the divine watching over each of us, as well as us being able to see clearly. And I love that because here in this card, here, what do we have? We have the eye. Both, maybe we're ingesting it, it's coming into the mouth, or maybe we are expressing it. And you get to decide, like I said, which is appropriate for you. And you can see that behind there's the moon, and it looks like it has 2 eyes, but they're being eclipsed by this blooming eye that is coming from the mouth. So we have the ayin is what's coming down from above, that being able to see clearly and also being seen by the divine. In the position of the second Hebrune, we have the letter Dalet, and this position is what is known about our situation. Dalet is a doorway. It is transition. It's about transitioning. We're doing some kind of amazing transition right now, walking through some sort of doorway or standing in a liminal space where we have yet to walk through that doorway. It's that moment of possibility between where we are now and where we're about to go. That is what is known about our situation. We have some transition to go through, some doorway to pass through, and we'll soon be on the other side. And that is what is known about our situation. The next position is this, which is what is unknown about our situation. It's existent but unknown, unseen yet. And that is the letter Tzadi. Tzadi is about justice. It is Tzadik, which is a righteous person, and Tzedek, which is justice itself. So it can be seen to be about humility. Some say that it is a bent nun which represents humility, and a yud, which represents the name of the divine. So you have humility and the divine at the back. So then that brings us to justice. That's the thing that we haven't seen yet. We don't know what justice will bring, and we don't know that justice will appear. But it is there. It's underlying. We know that justice exists in the situation. We just can't see it yet. And that is the unseen right now. The foundation of what is coming up from below, what is our foundation of the situation, is the letter Pe, and it's the mouth. And again, I love this because the letter Pe means mouth, and it is seen as the voice of the divine, or the mouth of the divine, speaking the world into existence, being able to create one's own reality through speech, through intention, through speaking out loud or writing words. And here we have this eye and this mouth like expressing vision, expressing what one wants to see in the world. So coming up from the bottom is the foundation of the mouth. Pe is also the number 80, which is the ultimate manifestation of the infinite. So the unknown, the unseen, the infinite being, the infinity that is beyond time and outside of time. And that is our foundation, which I completely love. This position is what's challenging, and it's the letter Zayin. And Zayin is the letter that represents a sword or a scepter, so it's about sovereignty. It's about personal sovereignty. It's about protection on some level because of that sword and scepter. And it's also the number 7, which represents luck. And it also represents a completion. So the number of days of creation is 7. So something is coming to completion, and that's the challenge here. The challenge is protection and sovereignty, personal sovereignty, and also a completion. Something that is coming to an end is challenging right now. Maybe there's some issue in your life that is wrapping up right now, and you need to, again, step through that doorway in order to come through this time of ending, of completion, and move on to the next iteration. And then what we have coming up in the future, this is our advice for our situation. We have the letter Tet. The letter Tet is a vessel. It is a container of some sort, and it is the number 9. So it represents the 9 months of gestation in the human. So it's something is gestating. This is our advice: to create a container that is safe, create a sacred womb space, and out of that, find the idea or the thing that you are gestating right now, and find goodness. The letter Tet begins the word Tov, which means good. So find what is good in the situation. I think that's what our advice is right now. Gestate what needs to be gestated and find the goodness in the situation. And out of that comes our final outcome. And our outcome in this situation, given the circumstances that we are in, is the letter He. And the letter He is about presence. It's the first letter of the word Hineni, meaning I am here. I am here and ready for service. In the Torah, when somebody is called by the divine, they are given the answer Hineni. Here I am. Not just am I present, but like I am present, like real present, and I am ready to hear what needs to happen next. So remaining present is what comes out of this whole situation. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful reading. Also, I'm noticing that, of course, the He is made up of a dalet. As you can see, it looks very similar to this letter, but it has this extra foot to it. It's like a doorway that has a foot in it already. The He is also 2 letters of the divine name. You have the Yud He, Vav He. And so it's like 50% of divinity is just being present, just showing up. So the outcome of all of this is that presence will manifest for you in this coming time, during this full moon time. And I'm just going to pick up this card again and take a look at it in terms of this reading. So we have the ayin at the top, the vision, that which we can see and that which we are being seen. It's covering up the moon and the moon's eyes because that vision is more important. It's more present than the mystery of the moon. The moon gives light, but this eye can see deep within. We have this doorway that we are heading toward or walking through. And it's so some kind of transition, and it could be a transition that is, positive or challenging, but whatever it is, it's a liminal space. And I love that with regards to this card, because this card looks like, it's almost like a dream. And that liminal space where the dream time happens is where the magic happens. The transition between water and earth and plants and the blossom. We're in this dark, wet time of the year right now, and we have to transition. We've just come through the doorway of the new year, but now we're moving into the second half of this month, which is all about the manifestation of the intentions that we set forth at the beginning of the new moon. Over here we have the tzadi, which is the unseen, this justice that's going to come, that is present but unseen. So we have this, maybe it's having to do with the moon that we have, that is hidden here. There's something that's hidden and shadows behind here. There's some kind of justice that is underneath all of this. Some kind of perhaps divine justice or righteousness, or the desire to become a tzaddik, someone who is righteous in their behavior. So that is there underlying all of this. But we have the pei, the mouth, the same mouth that is issuing forth this eye or ingesting this eye. There's some kind of creation that is happening through speech, through speaking aloud what one's desires are, and making it happen, making it manifest. And then we have the challenge, which is sovereignty or completion. Something is coming to a completion, and it's challenging. Transitions are challenging. So something is coming to finality, and we're being asked to stand in our own sovereignty. We're being asked to protect what is important to protect, and use that sword or scepter with our own personal sovereignty toward what it is we are creating right now. And the advice is to create. It is to gestate what needs to be gestated, to find the goodness within the situation, even though it may be challenging. And our outcome is presence. And I can see that in the face of this character. They're looking upward and saying, Hineni, here I am ready for whatever's coming next. Regardless of the visibility or invisibility of the moon behind or the shadows, I am present. Here I am. Hineni. And that is what I'm seeing in this reading for today. I hope that it's useful and helpful for you, and I hope that that I'll see you here again next time. Have a blessed full moon. See you on the other side. For those of you who chose this card with this almost frenetic energy, certain amount of speed and cyclical nature of it, and the Red Jasper here, this is going to be your reading. We'll see how this card plays into the Hebrunes that we pull out today. I'm going to set this off to the side where we can see it. And I'm moved to use the white Hebrew tiles today, and I just made a new set with silver. It seems appropriate for the moon. So I'm going to pull out a handful and see what sort of reading appears. I have a set here, and I'm going to just set them down in the order they come out of my hand. All right, number one is coming from the top. This is the second. We have 3, 4, nice, 5, okay, 6, and 7. This is really interesting because I did not count when I reached in there. It just came out in both readings. We got 7, so that's beautiful. This is what I'm seeing in this reading for you. So the first, sorry about my cord is in the way here. The first letter coming down from the top is what I'm seeing as coming down from the divine. And it is the letter Chet. Chet is the letter that means life. It's the first letter of the word Chai. And it also is the first letter of the word Chuppah. So, and Chuppah is a marriage canopy. So there's life that's coming down, and there's a contract of some sort. It could be a marriage. It could be a partnership. It could also be a business partnership for that matter. But there's some kind of contract that's being negotiated right now. Maybe a contract with you and yourself, a contract with you and the divine, or the contract between you and another person. Whatever the case is, there's some kind of inspiration and life coming through down from divinity, a message that is coming saying it's time to make a contract. It's time to make maybe a soul contract of some sort. And there's life in that. It also is the letter that begins the word choshek, which means darkness, which is fascinating at this time of the full moon. That, you know, the full moon is brilliant in the sky, but it also can't be seen as well when it's not dark out. So we may have some darkness surrounding us, but the life shines all the brighter when there is darkness around it. So Chet is our top letter. It's also the number 8, which represents the infinite. So it's 8 on its side, looks like an infinity symbol. And 8 is also the number that is one more than the days of creation. So it's the infinite. It just occurred to me also that Chet rules over the constellation Cancer in the sky. So we've got the full moon in Cancer here. So that's incredibly beautiful and appropriate right now. That's what's coming down from divine right now. The lower right corner is what is known about the situation. And we have the letter Zayin. Zayin is the letter that means a sword or a scepter. So there's power here. That's what we know. There's an enormous amount of power. It looks, again, this energy going on over here is a lot of power and speed, it looks like, as well. But power for sure, sovereignty of some kind, maybe self-sovereignty or sovereignty coming down from divinity. And it is the number 7. So we have the number 7 here, meaning a completion. The number of days of creation is 7. It also can be luck. Lucky things come in 7s. And 7 is this incredibly powerful number, which talks about different cycles, the number of days of creation, the number of years in the Shemitah, the number of cycles, weeks in the Omer count. It leads up from liberation to revelation. So something powerful and 7 is happening. That's what's known. We've got power, we've got sovereignty, we've got a completion that is coming to fruition. And that is our known entity. Over in this corner, we have the unknown entity, and it is the letter Shin. Now, Shin is the letter that represents fire. It's the creation element of fire. It is one of the mother letters of creation. So we have these 3 flames that are licking up from the bottom here, and so there's an incredible amount of power there as well. And that power could be passion. It could be anger. It could be passion for a love. But there's something incredibly fiery happening also as well. And I love that with with regards to the colors we have here. And the red jasper is very fiery, whatever is happening. And maybe it's unknown how much passion is there, unknown, unseen, how much, maybe challenging fire is there. The shin also represents the head in the body. So there's a certain amount of, again, those fiery, passionate emotions that happen in the head is represented by shin. So something hot is happening. Shin also rules over the stars in the sky, the stars, the moon, and the sun. So all of the fiery lights of the sky are governed by the letter shin. And it's the summer in the seasons. So something may be coming up in the summer that we can't see yet. And that is our unseen element is fire. There's fire happening. Because here we are in the winter, and we can't really maybe see the fire yet. Coming up from the bottom, which is our root cause, our ground here, is Aleph. And Aleph is oneness. It's that element, also a mother letter, the mother element of air. So it's a creation element as well, and it is the atmosphere. It's that balance between what's above, with the yud up above, and what's below, which is the earth or the human. So divine energy and divine energy within people, and the separation and the connection between those things. So we have two yuds, the yud above and the yud below, and a vav connecting them between. Aleph means oneness. It means the one, the God, idea of all things being unified into one thing. And it also can mean the multiplicity within that unity. So the fact that we have one universe, but we have billions and billions of stars. We have one body, but we have trillions and trillions of cells. So that paradox between the unity and the multiplicity. And in terms of this card, it's like that spiral thought of like all of this is one thing. It seems overwhelming at times, but it's all coming together into a giant vortex. And it's the Aleph, and that's what's the root cause of this. Everything is oneness. Everything is made up of oneness. There is no separation, and yet there is separation. We have to acknowledge both of those realities at the same time. Our challenge in the situation is the letter Kuf. And the letter Kuf is a complex letter in that it is the letter that represents holiness, because Kuf begins the word Kodesh, which means holiness, or that which is designated for service to the divine. But it also is the letter that represents the word Kof, which means monkey. So there's this, you can see it's a little monkey tail coming down there. So it can have to do with our animal nature. So trying to balance the holiness of all of the divinity, all of the Aleph here, with our animal nature, which just wants to play around and have a good time. So we need to find that balance between holiness and animalistic nature, which doesn't concern itself with divinity or anyone else. So that's the challenge right now. We have this challenge between holiness and maybe that desire to just, do whatever you want without considering anyone else. And that is the challenge right now, just trying to find that balance. And our advice in the situation is the letter Resh. Resh is the same letter that begins the word Rosh, which means head, and or beginning, like Rosh Hashanah or Rosh Chodesh. It means the beginning of a thing, and it is the binary foundation of seed and barrenness. So our advice is to start. It's do a beginning, start a thing, plant a seed. And that's what it's saying to us right now. Plant a seed. This is what we should be doing right now. It's the head in the body, because it's also Rosh, meaning head, literal head. So it does have this idea of intellect in it, but it is also just about just start a thing. Just go ahead and plant a seed. And I find that interesting because although this card looks like, could look like a screaming figure, it could also look like a seed being planted there, and that sprout coming up out of the seed here. So that's our advice right now, is begin. Begin the thing that you're being called to begin. Begin the thing that you are getting led from the divine here to start. And this brings us to our conclusion, which is the letter Tav. And the letter Tav is the last letter of the alphabet. It is a conclusion. It's a completion. It is a sign or a signature or a seal or a stamp. It's some kind of thing that has been basically approved by the divine. It's stamped and sealed and signed. It is also it can be about judgment. It is said to look like a dalet with a nun, which would spell the word Dan or Deen, which means judgment. So something is being judged. Something is, maybe there's that final judgment that one might endure at the end of time, say, because it is this finality, it's this completion, and there's judgment that happens, but it's judgment that comes from the divine. And we can trust that whatever is beginning here, whatever is coming about from all of this rushing and hurriedness and distress, even, it looks like a little bit alarmed, that there is some completion that's going to come from it. The letter Tav is also, it's the center. There, certain letters represent the 6 sides of the celestial temple. Let's say there's, above, below, and all 4 sides, and then the Tav is that in the center of it. So I think it's fascinating that it ended up in the center of this reading, and it corresponds to being centered, to being fixed in the center of what is happening. So even though there may be some sort of chaos or hurriedness, staying in the center, staying like the eye of this hurricane, will allow for what needs to be completed here. This card, which is, it can be, just seen as a chaos, or could be, I don't know, that person could be laughing. They're just laughing with the joy that is coming from this spinning that is going around them. They're in the middle of the vortex and they're just loving it. It depends on how you look at it and how you read it. So as I'm seeing it, we've got this this life and darkness and contract and connection that is coming from above, and the infinite, this infinite spiral that is going on around all the time, coming down from above. We've got the knowledge that there is power in this. There's definitely power in this this vortex, that there's some kind of sovereignty and maybe a completion that is coming or is happening right now through all of this. That there's some passion that is maybe underneath it all. There's something that is unseen. Kind of, again, these highlights of red that are off to the edge. That are just maybe over here where the lights are shining through. Fire, some kind of fire is happening that we can't quite see yet. That we have the oneness that is our foundation. That we know that the one is here and with us, and that we are part of it, regardless of what happens, and to stand on that foundation. That we need to balance the holiness, the designation for divinity, as well as our animalistic nature. And that's not to say that we don't deserve pleasure, that we don't deserve to do what we want to do, but that we need to balance that with the understanding that there's something divinely directed about whatever our situation is. And that our advice here right now is to use our heads, to begin a thing, to start it, plant a seed, and move forward. And out of that will come the central temple. This is what's going to come, the center of the temple, that we will find our place in divinity, that there will come a stamp or a signature or a seal of approval on our situation, and that there will be judgment around that, and that we can sit peacefully in the center of that spiral of chaos, perhaps, and maybe laughing maniacally or screaming if need be. But whatever it is, things are going to be moving. Things are going to be moving at a certain pace, and that we should probably just enjoy the ride, maybe hold on. So that's what's happening right now. So for those of you who chose this vortex card, I'm going to just call it, and the Red Jasper, this has been your reading, and I hope it's been interesting and useful for you, and I'll see you here next time. Thank you.